How can U.S. companies work with international students? Hi, I'm Jim Hacking, immigration lawyer practicing law throughout the United States, out of our offices in St. Louis, San Diego, and Washington, D.C. If you're not following me already on LinkedIn, you might go ahead and do that. I've been posting a lot more in there recently. And I did a post last week that sort of went viral. It's been reshared over 40 times, and I think it really struck a nerve. The post was about the fact that U.S. employers are often very skittish and scared and worried about hiring international students. And I tried to make the post in order to break it down and to make it simpler for people, to make it something that U.S. employers would be more willing to do. A lot of the hangups come from the fact that the H-1B program, which is the main way that internationals come to work in the United States, is broken. Our H-1B system hasn't been fixed in the last 30 years, and there's a lot that needs to be improved. For the most part, U.S. employers do rightfully worry about the program because there's just too much uncertainty, too much expense, too much headache, caused mostly because USCIS hasn't updated its regulations and hasn't made the system work more efficiently. When a U.S. employer wants to sponsor a foreign worker, here's what has to happen. They first have to figure out what is the prevailing wage, and this means that the employer has to do research or have their attorneys do research into what the average salary is for that job type in the county in which the job will be performed. For instance, if someone wants to work as a software developer in Cook County, Chicago, Illinois, and they want to get sponsored, then the employer's going to have to figure out what's a software developer paid in Cook County on average, and there are different wage levels, so they're going to have to do that research. And that means that the employer doesn't get to set the salary of the employee, and this is something that employers don't like. Another thing that employers don't like is the fact that they have to go through this lottery. So last year, 500,000 applications were submitted for basically 85,000 H-1B visas. There are 65,000 visas set aside for people who have a degree from a U.S. institution of higher learning and 20,000 extra for people with master's or advanced degrees. So that's 85,000 altogether. So when you have 500,000 applications being submitted for 85,000 spots, that means a lot of employers are going to go through all this headache and not be able to sponsor the employee that they want. This is another reason why international students don't always get sponsorship, because the employers just don't want the hassle. They don't have to pay the salary, and these are the main sticking points behind the H-1B program and why employers don't like to do this. So what's the solution? Well, there is this great little part of the F-1 visa called optional practical training. So when an international student is inside the United States and they graduate, they can get what's called OPT, or optional practical training. Optional practical training allows the employee to work for a full year for the employer. So they remain on their F-1 visa, their I-20 gets updated, and they are able to stay in the United States and work for a whole year. Now, I tell international students that this is like a 365-day job interview. If they come in at 10 in the morning, sipping their coffee, chatting with their friends, doing a little bit of work, and then checking out around 4 o'clock, that's not going to be much of a good impression. And that's not going to compel the employer to want to go through that hassle that I mentioned with the H-1B. With OPT, though, they can come in every morning at 7, stay until 7, be the hardest working person in the office, and that's really how they make themselves indispensable, which is then what makes the employer want to go through that headache of sponsoring them and paying that salary and going through the lottery and taking that chance. It sounds daunting, it sounds really hard, but from the employer's point of view, OPT is a great thing. They get to work with the employee, they get to see if they're worth sponsoring, they get to see if they're a good culture fit, see if they do a good job, see if they hustle. And every year we hear from employers who want to sponsor an international student who did such an awesome job on OPT that they are willing to go through that lottery and go through that headache of the salary determination. This program works extra well for people in STEM fields. So if the student has a degree in science, technology, engineering, or math, they're actually going to be able to get 2 extra years of OPT, and that's really important. Again, the job interview extends from 1 year to 3 years. You get to work for 3 years with the employer, and the employer gets to set whatever salary they want. They don't have to do the prevailing wage like they do on an H-1B. And the best part is you get 3 chances at that lottery. So your chances are going to improve if you get to go through the lottery 3 times instead of just the 1 time when you're on regular OPT. So I know for employers this is a hassle, it's a scary subject. A lot of employers haven't been through the process before and they find it really intimidating. I don't think you need to. If you reach out to local universities and colleges and find out who the international student advisor is, you can ask the advisor, hey, who are your best international students? Who are people that are in my field? Who are people that you think might be worthy of working for us and wanting to work with us on OPT and that would be a good fit for us? That's the best way to bridge the gap between not having any international employees and starting to incorporate the awesome international students that we find throughout the country in your workplace. If you have questions about this, or if you're looking to sponsor an employee for an H-1B, or if you're an employee looking for a sponsor and they haven't gone through the H-1B process before and they're looking for the help of an immigration attorney that handles these kinds of cases and does them well, give us a call at 314-961-8200. You can email us info@hackingimmigrationlaw.com. If you're just looking for free resources, we have our YouTube channel that you can subscribe to. We also have our Facebook group called Immigrant Home. We'd love to have you join us there. And then 3 or 4 days a week, I go live in our Immigration Answers show on our YouTube channel and in the Facebook group, where you can come and ask me questions about H-1Bs or anything else that you like. Thanks so much and have a great day.